It's the Revved Up Sports Show with Bobby Chaffee.
We do have this nice little format that we try to follow every week. We don't usually follow it.
And Rodney Rodriguez.
Entertain me. Tell me something. I need to know something other than what I'm seeing.
Y'all ready? All right, here we go. Here's Bobby and Rodney.
How about some Wednesday fun? Let's do some Wednesday. Hashtag real race talk from Texas. Showtime. Bobby Chaffee down south. Rodney Rodriguez up north on a cooler night in Texas. And we're off and rolling. I mean, it's usually a Monday thing, but here we are. We're doing it once again, and all good. Everything good on your end, my friend?
So far, so good for a hump day edition anyway. You know, middle part of the week, trying to get stuff squared away for this weekend. So we'll see how it goes. Weather-wise, I don't know what it's going to do this weekend. So I don't know. At least it's not going to ice and snow for the birthday coming up. That's good stuff. Looks like it's going to rain for first outlook on the birthday, but that's all right. I mean, I'm getting old. It doesn't matter as much as it used to. So
yeah, there you go. There you go. It is Rocket Night on the Revved Up Sports Show as we get set to go. Coming up, we've got 7 o'clock. We've got the Rocket, Rodney Sanders, the man, one of our drivers of the year. He'll be on, and then the Robstown Rocket will jump on as well, and of course that is Cameron Starry, and we'll talk with him. Gonna be a really good show as we get ready to go. So stay tuned for those guys that will hit the Revved Up Sports Show hotline. Bobby, I think one of the and again we've like we said, we're into Wednesday. I think one of the things that I was surprised to see today, when we talk about on the asphalt side, when we want to talk about national touring series and everything that we've discussed in the past, with Track Enterprises and Bob Sargent jumping in here buying CRA and all of this, I think shit's about to get real.
well, they said that when they released it, they wanted to make it be like a modern day ASA tour, which they got a lot of work to do to make it like the ASA tour used to be.
Yeah.
That's a lot of dates. That's a lot of racetracks, which is really trying to reinvent the wheel just because of the fact that if you really think about it, ASA was a different animal, right? It was a super late model, but yet it wasn't a super late model. It was a step above a super late model, but not quite a Busch car, right? They had their own specific bodies and their own specific chassis and stuff like that. CRA now, ARCA CRA series, they have this basically a super late model chassis. They run the same rules that everybody else does, but we've been talking about for years if they were ever going to get around to having take all the big money races and turn it into a super late model tour. This is step number one of making that happen.
Well, and I think this is where the opportunity is there, because with that, I mean, they not only inherit the super late model. I mean, there's a lot of different phases to this that will be a part of what they're planning to do right there, and I think that's part of. You got to have some of that, the undercard. I hate to say that because it's insulting to some people, but you have to have all of that in place as well. And I think that everything's in place here to where they may be able to. The timing is great, right? The timing is great because you've got Speedfest coming up, so you got to love when a plan comes together like that.
And it's one of those things we hadn't really heard it right through all the rumblings. You know, you always hear, "Oh, this tour is going to get bought, this tour is going to get sold," every now and then. But this one kind of came as a shock. It they did pretty good about keeping it under the wraps until it came time to announce it basically right before Speedfest come through. So it's going to be a way to see how this super late model stuff happens. But they get I'm assuming they get the CRA street stocks with it. And
all of that.
Street,
yeah.
That ends up being just like a factory stock discussion. These guys are spending as much on a quote unquote street stock as they are, with late models and stuff. So
yeah, it's going to be the All-Star Tour. I mean, it's everything. Street stocks, the pro late models, all of that will be a part of what they're going to do right there. But I cannot help but think, I know that there's a little bit of a cooperation there where, with Tim Bryant and the Southern Super Series and all of that, but when push comes to shove right here, when it comes to dollars and cents, I mean, who's going to give? I mean, who's going to give? I think that's going to be the hardest part because we've talked to so many of the other northern guys that have been on this show, and you got with the Southern Super Series there, who's going to give? I mean, it's business now. It's business now. When you had Bob Harmon and you had with Rex Robbins, that was kind of a different thing. Now it's I don't know. I mean, that saturation thing that we talk about, we may be into that again.
It's gonna be tough, right? There's only so many different racetracks nowadays for these places to run. You think about the old ASA tour; they were running big joints. I mean, not counting when they ran Michigan and stuff like that. But
Absolutely.
those guys were running. They were running the Milwaukee Mile.
Mhm.
They were running Topeka Road Course there, Topeka, Kansas. They started to expand the outreach just past the Midwest. I know there for years when they switched to that ASA Pro Late Model Tour, they ran a race in San Antonio for a big money race down there. But they started moving out past the upper Midwest, out into the Carolinas and stuff like that. So it's I think that you have to find a way to differentiate yourself, just like the old ASA tour did, to keep from oversaturating the market.
Yeah, and the thing's going to be, I mean, they're talking about 2023 and beyond, and maybe flirting with it in 2022. And I'm curious to see, because it's going to be, it is going to be a lot, and this is when you start dividing racers and the different. I've heard different ideas about different series and all of this, and I don't know, man. I think it's. I really don't know what to think about this. I mean, initially I was excited, but I don't think that Tim Bryant and his group are going to just be like, okay, let's do it. I mean, they've built a really nice thing. When you look at what he's done there with SSS, I mean, it's like you're wanting to poach on his thing. But that's what racing really is. I mean, because you see all the different series and organizations that have done whatever it may be, people start poaching around at it, and it kills it all in general. And I don't know what the case is going to be right here. It comes down to money. I mean, a lot of people have talked about, well, maybe Southern Super Series needs to pay more to win. We talked about the Derby and all of that versus the Oxford 250. I mean, the Derby doesn't pay shit to win, but it. I don't know. This may convolute it more than help it in many ways, I think.
Well, Southern Super Series is starting to creep a little further north than they have been. They've really been majorly, tied in the South. Now they're moving into Upper Georgia, moving into the Carolinas, races along those lines, trying to get in with Greenville Pickens, trying to get in there with a co-sanctioned CRA event, ironically, there at Nashville.
Yeah.
So they've definitely tried to expand the reach. I think it's really going to depend on, Southern Super Series has increased their purse. They have.
Yeah,
They've added it. They've added it for this year. I think, what is it, $10,000 to win?
That's right.
Plus, I think $10,000 for a bonus win and $5,000 for a winner. Can if you repeat win, you get like $25,000.
Yeah,
so that's a lot of coin. But I really think it's going to come down. It's going to come down to dollars and cents. Is it going to? Which kind of TV package is it going to be? Is it going to be an internet only stream like the way that the Southern Super Series does now?
Yeah.
With a lot of it being there with our friends on Racing America. So I think there's a lot of questions to be answered that not a lot of people have the answers to right now.
And, with Bob Sargent, I mean, the history is there where I think that could be an opportunity for him to, there is a lot of history. He was part of the thing in Nashville there with SRA and all of that. And I listened to him on Racing America, what they were talking about, the stuff that they learned and all of that. But that's where, I don't know, man, I think it's, you're going to, depending how you do this, you're going to sour some of the short track fans because so many of us are still set in our ways where we want it to be the way it used to be, and many just can't realize it. It's not going to be that way anymore. There's lots of different things that I mean, it can't be like ASA way before. It can't be like that. It can't be all pro. But the key's going to be when you start, because you have to spread this thing out, because it's going to be north, south, east, and west. I mean, if it's a true touring super late model series, which we have not seen for 2 decades or whatever it's been, to get the costs in line, that's a whole different subject. I'm not sure who's going to be in charge of that. And it's a lot, man. It's going to be a lot. I mean, I applaud the effort. But at the same time, I look at this at a different way, where it's like, okay, the CRA series was a really good thing. Now it's being overtaken again. And you can look at that at the same way as where, okay, this is really cool. Here comes somebody big taking it over, going to blow it up and just totally screw it up.
And that's what happened with ASA, right?
Absolutely.
When they got taken over.
Same thing.
The original ASA, when they wanted to start running Atlantas and Charlottes of the world with super late models and perimeter cars and stuff like that.
Same shit.
It was supposed to be the next big thing. It really tore up that series, and it disappeared after that.
Mm-hmm. And that's actually what I fear may happen right here, because nobody's actually really gone into. I really think what needs to happen with super late model racing, and I think that somebody needs to go in and figure out a way to kind of tail some of the costs. But that's where it's such a crazy thing because so many people want that to happen, where it's like, let's figure out a way to make this less expensive. But so many people are like, no, we like it, and you ain't going to please them all. You're not going to please them all, but people will travel for the big purses. But I mean, think about that. I mean, to go from Alabama across the coast to California, I mean, that's going to be a lot of coin, man. That's going to be a lot of coin.
Well, you got to have the love for it, right? There's some deep pockets inside super late model racing.
Sure.
I think that there's deeper pockets for super late model racing than there is for the ARCA Tour, especially the ARCA East Tour. Mm-hmm. ARCA West, you've got a little bit on the West Coast. You got a little bit more money because the only thing you've got over there, super late model wise, is the SRL Tour, which they pay okay and they got a lot of good following. But I feel like the ARCA West series is a little bit better off than the ARCA East series. I think that you have a way that if you had a really big touring series for super late models, that would be the biggest threat, would be to take away from the ARCA, both the national tour and the East and West regional side.
And that becomes the other question, where it's like, for the aspiring young drivers that want to be in the Cup Series or want to be in the Xfinity or whatever you want to call it, is super late model racing really going to be the next step for them to make that dream happen, or do they want to go to ARCA, or does the super late model series really become what I wish it would be, which is Bubba Pollard, Stephen Nasse, Casey Roderick. I mean, all of these guys that we like to watch on the short tracks, get out there, be able to do this and be, have contingency packages and sponsorship and all of this to where it's worth it for them to travel across the country. And I don't know, that's really what I see. I just fear that what's going to happen here is when we have a quote unquote national super late model series that's going to be doing whatever, that it falls into the realms of ARCA and all of this other stuff. Let that be that, and try to make this its own thing. But there's money again, and that's the thing. Everything hinges on that.
But it's always been about money.
Absolutely.
Right? That's exactly.
Absolutely.
I mean, the race cars don't run on smiles and butterfly farts. I mean, it runs on money. Mm-hmm. I mean, that's the way it's always been. That's the way it's always going to be. I think you have to find a way to balance it out, though, because if the money's good, but the racing sucks, and it doesn't matter what it pays, right? Generally, the higher the purse, the better the racing, because you're supposed to get the best of the best when they come run. So I think it comes down to, it's all going to be in the perception of this series. That's what it's going to be like, the perception of the racers. Because what comes first? Are the racers just going to follow the big money races? Or are they going to follow the racers? Is it going to be a bunch of Bubba Pollard fans going to races because Bubba Pollard's racing in an area that he hadn't been racing before, running at Jennerstown Speedway versus running down south at Pensacola or Montgomery or something like that. So I think it's just going to be a matter of preparation in terms of getting all their stuff together. I think you're right. It's a little late to get everything together and change it for 2022. Yeah. But definitely they get a year to kind of hit the reset button, kind of see what's going on.
But I do think it's in good hands. Because Bob Sargent, that's a guy where he's done a lot, and the whole thing is to get it all aligned and figure out what's going to happen there. But that really was big news today, to see that was all going down. And I do wonder, like when we see that, we've talked about it with some of the dirt series that are changing hands in Texas, and you folks might be able to tell us different. But when it's like, we acquired this series, okay. How'd you acquire it? What'd you pay for it? What'd you do? Because it's like, what's it worth? No offense. So remember, we had that talk. Mm-hmm. It's like, are you paying off debt, or what are you doing? So I'd be curious to know that with that CRA thing.
I think it had to be worth something. RJ Scott and them, they've been running it. It's got a name brand feel to it.
Sure,
they probably paid some money
Jegs
for it.
Is a part of that. Jegs is a big, yeah.
Mid 50s, maybe something like that. I doubt it's a 6-figure deal.
Man, yeah, I wouldn't think so. If it is, I think somebody got stiffed. But that's just my thought. But anyway, I don't know. Speedfest is coming up. And I think this could be a fun weekend. This could be a fun weekend of some good racing. You've got the supers and the pros that are going to be there. The modifieds of mayhem that are going to be on the bill there. You got Bubba's going to race, Chandler Smith, and this really is the kickoff of everything for the pavement side of super late model racing, because here's the first big one coming up, and it's at Cordeal, and I think this is going to be a really fun event coming up this weekend.
It's definitely got a way to make it happen. And you got a wider range of cars. I'm really interested in the modified race, because the modified race has that north and south type of feel to it, where they try to get the Midwest mods racing against the modifieds of mayhem. I'd like to see that work a little bit more, or see them work a little bit more together. Now, during the pandemic, you had some of the Midwest guys coming down and running the full tour with the modifieds of mayhem. But I think that class needs to grow. It doesn't have what it once had, because it's just as expensive to race a modified as it is to race a pro late model and a super late model.
Absolutely.
The difference is all the pub and all the money and all that is in the super late models and the pro late models. So that's where they got to try to find a way to make that work. It's its own little niche market. I mean, we love the pro late models here, or the pro modifieds here, because that's the top of the line.
Yeah, that's all we get. Yeah, that's all we get. Great post, and I think it's from RevvedUpSportsShow.com, is where it says Indiana and Michigan, that's where the racing's at, and that's what we're finding. I mean, everything is really up there. We've got everything on the coast. I mean, I saw that Florida was wiped out this weekend with rainouts and so forth, but when you talk about outlaw late models, super late models, I mean, it really is where folks, I think, are really, I mean, I know, Bobby, you and I mean, with Phil, being a part of our team here, where we are realizing that everything is really happening up there, and it just people don't talk about it. I mean, but we're way down here, so I think that's probably the main reason. But they are not suffering up there at all. So that's where I'm going to be curious, because it's always been the North versus South. I mean, think about the old All-American 400, all of those days, ASA and All Pro. But right now, when you really want to talk about a across the country series, you got to go east and west, because I mean that's where it's at. I mean, it's everywhere.
I mean, north and south's only going to work so far in terms of making that work. It's because like we said before, you're not going to end up having a way to make it better for the guys down south versus the guys up north. So I mean, they're going to have to pick their poison, like you said, east and west versus north and south. I mean, there's only so many things they can do. I like what Owen put on there on the page there. Yeah. It's only worth what someone's willing to pay for it. Hell, you know that from the real estate business.
I mean, that's really it. I mean, the whole thing is, you can take this thing and go and spin it and sell it every different way. And I was actually having this discussion with a promoter today, as a matter of fact, where it comes down to, with what we're doing here with the streaming thing, it's such a big deal right now, because people don't have to go to the racetrack. And it's so much easier. Whether it be on whatever platform that you're going to consume this stuff, you can pay for a subscription and watch it. And that's, you have to have that in the whole hopper too, when you're doing the whole bingo thing, B12 or whatever it may be, is figure out how much money are you going to try to make off of streaming versus coming in the turnstiles. Because if you're really trying to have a big reach, it's expensive to travel. I mean, it costs a lot of money to travel, and I don't care the surface. You have to factor that in too, to where streaming is so important right now.
Well, streaming is not what it used to be.
Hell
for sure.
No, it ain't.
I mean, back even what it was 3 or 4 years ago, much less 5 or 6 years ago, and everybody was totally against it.
Yeah,
streaming is its own unique entity right now. In terms of, that's why our friends over at Race on Texas have grown as much as they have. Their last growth has been more so in the last 2 years versus the last 4 years, because they keep adding tracks and adding tracks. But I think the difference is the business model that some of them use. You have the track, you have the Fast Pass with Race on Texas, that they're able to do that. But then you got a subscription service like Racing America, powered by Speed 51, where you have a subscription base, and then you pay for the bigger races. They go in and pay for the broadcast rights of these races to go out to the masses online, and then they find a way to make the advertising dollars make it work.
Speaking of Owen, South Texas Arena Series kicks off. It's coming up on February 5th in Robstown. That right there looks like a hell of a lot of fun.
It really does. And if you see some of the rules, a lot of it running L87 rules.
Yeah.
But man, I wish there was an extra cart for me and you. Maybe me and you go down there one day and do a little announcing and racing down there.
I don't want to race. I'll just announce. If I race, that's just more problems. No driving for me right now. I'll announce.
Not even a little go-kart down there?
Nope. Nothing. I don't need
Okay.
I don't need to have any steering wheel in my hand other than my daily driver. Bobby, I've done this a long time. It just takes one time. One time. I've already got 2 cars I need to get rid of.
You never know. Maybe they'll start an antique dwarf car racing series. There's still enough of them out there.
Well, yeah. I mean, I don't know, but I think that's going to be a lot of fun and a great opportunity for people to get behind the wheel and get out there and do fun stuff. And then at the same time, I mean, Owen's here with us, and I'm not trying to hurt what he's got coming up. But this is clear across the country. In Waco, you've got the big 250 coming up there on February 5th as well, and there's going to be a lot of folks ready for that one. They've had it circled, and it's time to fire up. It's time to go. It's time to get after it.
I feel like we should have got an enduro car ready. I think you could have enjoyed running an enduro car. Should have took that yellow number 11 car out of the driveway.
I don't need to be driving anything.
Let your dad drive.
He don't need to be driving nothing either. He needs to go get a COVID test.
He needs to be driving to the COVID test. That's what he needs to be driving.
That's exactly right. But man, I'm ready for stuff to get fired up, and I think that weather permitting, I think I checked the Farmer's Almanac. I think everybody's going to be in good shape. I think February is going to be really, really good for folks to be able to jump out and get rolling. I
think it will be. I mean, the excitement's there, right? You've been watching the next gen test there from Phoenix today. Watched a little bit of that. Everybody got a chance to watch it there in Daytona. So I think the fact that that's coming up, I mean, the Clash has got so much buzz around it. I can't wait for the Clash at the Coliseum.
Who is DJ Ski?
I have no idea. Is that somebody else performing during the intermission?
Apparently what's going to happen now, they said it's never happened before, but on the yellow flags, DJ Ski, whoever that is, it's a white dude, by the way, will be entertaining which that doesn't matter at all. I mean, but so I'm assuming he's like a scratcher or whatever DJs do.
Something, yeah.
So he will be entertaining during the yellow flags. They said this has never been done before at racing events. I'm like, I guess you people never went to Kyle because we did that shit all the time in the yellow flags.
That's right. Thanks to the Puppet Master for making that. You could always tell when we were running out of stuff to say. Surprisingly, we did eventually run out of stuff to say and had to have the music playing during cautions there at Thunder Hill and CTS.
But he was playing George Strait and the Commodores and all this stuff for our fan base, not the California thing.
That's true.
Not the California thing, but so you'll have entertainment during the yellows. You'll have entertainment on pit road before with one of the owners of Car 99, and then at the break you'll have Ice Trey or Cube or T or whatever his name is. He'll come out and do some singing too.
Ice Cube is going to be there for the intermission. Ice Cube and Pitbull.
Nice. I'll mute it at that point. Although I do want to see the Super Bowl halftime show. That's
going to be good.
That's going to be good. That's going to be damn good. That might, I don't think it'll pass up the Katy Perry thing, but that's just because I'm a pervert. But I think that it's going to be good. That's going to be good.
I've been told I can't have a Super Bowl party this year. So not because of COVID, just because we don't want when you had 57 people at the house at the last one, she doesn't want to have a big party here this year. So it may be up to you to carry the flag there, buddy.
No, man. As simple as possible. I'm all about being easier these days. 2 years ago, Kobe Bryant died. And that was really the beginning of the end. You had the Kobe Bryant, then you had Ryan Newman, and then you had, this other thing we're dealing with. It's been 2 years. Man. Isn't that crazy?
It's hard to believe it's been 2 years.
It's weird, man. It seems.
I remember saying I'd only be at home for 2 weeks.
Mm-hmm. That's weird. Houston going to have races. Any races this year? Yes, there will be 4. And you can go back, I think, on the Gulf Coast pages where all that's posted. That is not anything that series is not wanting to. I feel like Jeff Gordon when I'm doing this because it's like, so right now I'm talking as a host and as a co-host with you and referring to that where I'm like part of Hendrick Motorsports. 4 races, and that is because that drag strip is very, very, very busy. I can tell you that series would love to have more races, but it's just not. It's just not conducive to the plan of that racetrack right now.
Well, the drag strip makes all the money.
Work that
that's the way that it works. I mean, it's that simple. The business model's there.
Yeah.
And then the cost of leasing that facility. If anybody knew how much that actually cost, you'd wonder why the doors are even open on that place.
Everyone that wants to bitch about wanting another race, you pay that rent one weekend. Pay that rent one weekend, and they'll race.
Mm-hmm. It's not cheap.
Mm-hmm.
It is a high rent district to rent that place out.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, absolutely. It's a lot, and it may continue to go up. I mean, because with Baytown going away, and speaking of that, that's one thing I do want to address here before we get too deep into this. A lot of folks talking about with why the less races. Well, you got to figure out Baytown's going to. When's that last Baytown race? April 6th or 20th or something like that. That track is.
It ends with the NHRA. Yeah,
that's
it ends
right.
with the NHRA, and it's done.
Yeah, that's it. And people need a place to race. And man, this dude is really good. This dude being Dean Baker, he's really going to be doing really well, because all these sport racers, professionals, whatever they are, they're going to want to have a place to go, and that's the closest place. And they utilize that oval to do their shows.
I mean, it's the way it is. I mean, it's the nature of the world. If somebody wants to build a new racetrack, just holler at us. We'll tell you the right people to hook up with to start building it.
Yeah.
Nice place to put it. I put it in Central Texas, right in the middle of everybody. Dallas, Houston, San Antonio, Austin, West Texas.
Braunfels. I mean, do something out there, shirts. I mean, I don't know. It, this goes back to the old thing that we talk about, where if I won the lottery, which I don't even play because I spend too much money on other things. If I won the lottery and could buy that place, I would get rid of the drag strip. And people will probably at me on Twitter because I'm just not a drag race guy. But I'd get rid of the drag strip, and I mean, let's go full bore oval track racing. But that's just me, and I'm not going to win the lottery. I got to buy a ticket to win that thing.
Well, it's easier to just build a brand new racetrack than buy one.
I agree.
I mean, you could buy. I mean, if you built a new one, you could build exactly what you wanted and actually build a drag strip too, because there's really not a drag strip in Central Texas either. You could build a multi-use facility and have it to where it's an event center and a multi-use facility, kind of like what Owen's doing down there with the South Texas Race Ranch, where you got a place to run concerts and some other stuff out there, and you still got the Turn 5 bar. At least that's what it was called last time I heard about it.
The only thing that Owen is missing there, and I think, man, this would really seal the whole deal over there, other than the drag strip. I don't know how big drag racing is over there along the coastal bend. I know there was one down. There was a drag strip on the way to the valley. When we'd go to McAllen, there was something out there. But man, imagine a motocross track out there. Man, you got that whole corner right there, Brownsboro Road. I mean, throw yourself some whoops out there. Let those motocrossers go at it. Oh, man, that'd be cool. That'd be
a lot of fun, especially down there. You get some people coming in, make the day trip.
Oh, my goodness.
Get up in the morning, go down to the beach, or go down to the racetrack and spend the nights at the beach. I mean, that'd be a lot of fun.
Absolutely. Go catch some motocross. That'd be fun. That's free advice, Mr. Pittman. Free advice right there, courtesy of the RevvedUpSportsShow.com. Going to the hotline. It is Rocket Night, and we explained that earlier. The first rocket that we're going to is this dude, and obviously one of our drivers of the year, Touring Series Driver of the Year. This dude just keeps on doing it and doing it and doing it. Glad to have him back on. It is Rodney Sanders. Rodney, how you doing, sir?
I'm good. How are you guys?
We're doing well, man. We're doing well. And like I said, you are so good because you have that great first name. A man named Rodney has got to be a badass, man. Break everything down, dude. The tour, the Wild West tour, the Wild West shootout, man. That was quite the ass whooping you put on those folks.
Yeah, we had a really good trip. I mean, it didn't start out so well, but ended out really well. But it's just you have to have a lot of luck, and we had a really good car, so it all played out really well.
Absolutely.
So, Rodney, talk about that racetrack in Vado. I mean, I got to drive by there in November, and it's depending on which way you run, high line or low line, depends on the length of the racetrack. But they got a pretty nice racing facility out there in the middle of El Paso and Las Cruces right there.
Yeah, they do. It's a really nice place. I mean, it's kind of in the middle of nowhere, but it is a really good racetrack, and the facility is really nice. So I thought it was a good event, or a good racetrack for the event, and looking forward to going back out there later.
Yeah. So how cool is it when you get out there? And I mean, you've got the best of the best out there. I mean, you've got folks coming out, and it's one of those things where the season has ended, so to speak, and you're kind of rolling into the next season. When you get out there and you've got all of these drivers that are getting after it, how cool is that to start the season that way?
I mean, it was good that we had a lot of, good competition out there. A lot of the guys we raced with on a nightly basis were out there, or a couple of the heavy hitters were. So it was good to kind of see where we stacked up. But, there's always good racers at those early shows, just being, even a lot of northern guys just trying to get out of the weather. But it was good, to race with Ramirez and Mullins and a bunch of them guys that we raced with a lot. And it was, good, at least, like I said, see where we stacked up, and we're just looking forward to getting the season started off, and we're really excited about it.
Mm-hmm.
So it seems like a lot of fun. How does the Wild West Tour racing over there? Does it race any different than the big races you go to at TMS?
A little bit. I mean, which when we say and Happy Texas, I mean, that's one of our closer tracks. I mean, it's still like 6 hours, but it was still one of the closest ones, so it made it nice going there instead of Arizona. But, you always get, it seems like, that time of year you get a lot of cars, just, people all over. But, they're all, really good competition no matter, it seems like, where you go nowadays. But, the track out there, it just has, more character in it than I would say like Texas Motor Speedway. It seemed like we always knew going to Texas Motor Speedway is going to be drier or have a cushion on it or whatever. But, we had late models out there, and it seemed like we almost had a different racetrack every night. So it was kind of nice, to, get 6 nights of racing in and had something different every night.
Yeah. Yeah, that's good stuff. So talking about that TMS deal, I mean, how big is that? I mean, you got the Monday night series, but for all of us, I mean, we're short track folks, to get out there and to be a part of that facility. I mean, obviously you got the super speedway there, but to get out there and let you guys showcase as good as y'all are, to get out there and race at that place, that's got to be a big deal for all the drivers.
Yeah, it's pretty cool, especially on, Monday nights.
Yeah.
That's kind of unheard of to do, weekday racing, especially in the Texas area. So that was kind of cool. It's always, I always thought it was kind of a prestigious deal to even race at that racetrack. So, to race kind of like I wouldn't say at a weekly level, but, pretty, once a month or twice a month or kind of however it panned out. It's cool to race over there. I mean, it's just always, I thought really cool to race there, just being, like you said, close to the big track and all that. So, it's always cool, all the pits are, asphalt, makes it really nice work on everything.
Yeah, no doubt.
So, Rodney, for your race team or yourself in general, how do you pick your races? Are you a money racer? Are you a points racer? Are you a competition guy that wants to race against the best of the best? Or is it a combination of all of it when you sit down in the beginning and try to make your schedule for the upcoming season?
Probably a little bit of everything. I mean, we follow USMTS mainly just because, for the modifieds, it's kind of the best paying gig out there. And then that's part of the reason we did the Monday deal, because, they paid a pretty decent amount, and especially on Sunday Mondays, that's kind of unheard of. So we just try to go where we feel like pays the best, and which it's always good when you have good guys to race against. It makes it tougher, but makes you a lot better at the same time. So we just try to pick and choose what kind of pays the most, but at the same time we don't have to travel all the way to the New York or Pennsylvania or something like that. But we just always look at the money aspect of it first.
Yeah, that's huge. I mean, that's one of the things we were talking about where it drives everything. I mean, no doubt about that. So let's talk about the Southern Nationals. Another great event for you. I mean, it's so cool. I mean, you get out here and you just steamroll through these things. I mean, you make it look easy. You make it look easy. Talk about these races for you, because it's like, okay, Rodney Sanders wins, 4 of 6, whatever it may be, but it's got to be a lot of work. I mean, you guys get out there, like you talk about the track changes, setups, everything that has to happen there. Walk us through one of these big weekends when you just get out there and you do make it look easy.
I mean, a lot of times we've, been to some of these tracks before, so we try to keep notes on, what gear we were at, or, kind of what we did at, when we had luck at that track or whatever. So it always helps going back somewhere you've been before, but like I said, it kind of all adds up, with luck, and we gotta obviously have speed in the car and everything, but it definitely helps, somewhere we've been before, so we can, or compare it to something, or kind of know what we're getting into. But it seems like I've done it a long time now, so definitely helps, since we've been to a lot of these racetracks before.
Yeah.
So right now I want to talk about the car, or the cars in general for the modifieds. Obviously, each car builder has its own little, nuance that says my car is better than this car, or we build something a little special versus everybody else. How close are the modified chassis? I mean, there's only so many different ways you can design a tubing to make it work to go around a racetrack. Are they more close to being somewhat universal, or are they, like the new Cup cars are going to be with the kit cars, or are they really that different between the different manufacturers?
I mean, obviously we're all on the same front clip, so that makes it, somewhat of the same, but there's so many different, lift arm pull bars, different setup combinations, but I feel like they're somewhat comparable just because, you're all on a stock front clip, so that makes it kind of, somewhat equal, but I mean, there's so many different combinations and setup stuff you can do, and just because it worked for me doesn't mean it works for the next guy. So right. That's the biggest thing. It's just finding kind of what each person likes, and but it is I feel like more equal than some of the other classes just because of our front clip.
Yeah. That is a big equalizer. I mean, you can only do a certain amount with that clip. I mean, it's not designed to do what you guys are doing with it. So it's a very good equalizer. So let's talk about 2022. So we're moving forward into this. Your thoughts because we were talking about pavement racing earlier, challenges for dirt track racing in 2022 moving forward. You've got USRA, you've got IMCA. They both do a really, really good job sanctioning all this stuff to try to keep it in line as much as possible. But whether it be modifieds, dirt late models, whatever, your thoughts on big challenges for dirt racing in 2022?
I think a lot of it's just the expense and then the shortages. It seems like anymore you can't get tires or parts, or everything you get, it's hard to get, and then everything's kind of through the roof. So I feel like it's really going to hurt kind of everything, but I feel like it's going to hurt more at a local level than anything. Kind of sucks, but it's I think that's going to be the the biggest downfall of this coming year. I mean, maybe it'll change, or everything will get kind of sorted out, but I know it's just hard to get anything right now.
Yeah, that sucks.
Rodney, one of the things we talked about is that, everybody used to say dirt racing was cheaper than asphalt. And I think some of that works at the local level when you get to the bombers and some of those other classes like that. But when you start racing the cars like you're racing with these big mods and touring around with USMTS and all of that, it all costs the same. It all costs a hell of a lot of money to race any kind of high-tech race car nowadays, doesn't it?
Yeah, for sure. I mean, the mods are expensive. The late models are, way more expensive, and even trying to do it at a local level is expensive. So it's, it's just, I guess, just kind of the way, the world's working right now. It seems like it, no matter what you do, it seems expensive. So, gas prices and everything are through the roof. So it's definitely not a cheap sport, but, hopefully, things can get sorted out, and It kind of helps that, like the USMTS and some of these guys are paying more money,
Yep.
to help, which that really does help us, if you can run good and get some of that money. But it's definitely, it wouldn't be possible with for us if it wasn't for, a lot of great, supporters and sponsors and stuff behind us.
Yeah. So speaking of that, so we were talking a while ago about streaming and all that. I mean, there's a lot of ways where you don't have to go to the track and you can watch you guys doing what you do. As you travel around from racetrack to racetrack, what do those grandstands look like? I mean, are folks still coming out to the racetrack? I mean, we only know what we see right here in Central Texas because that's what we have. But are folks still going to racetracks? Still wanting to get out there and be a part of it? I mean, it really isn't real unless you're there, in my opinion. But what do you see as you're going to all the different places?
It just kind of depends. I mean, certain areas we know like that always get good crowds, but then there's some that, just, don't seem like there's very many people. So, which I do think, like you said, the broadcasting and stuff does, play a role in it where some of the people are like, oh, we're not going to go tonight because we could watch it at home. But, it just kind of depends. It seems like the further, I don't know, especially USMTS stuff, it seems like the Minnesota and Iowa, the northern tracks, they always have a good fan base up there, which, like we ran TMS a lot during the summer, and there wasn't a lot of people actually in the grandstands, but, I kind of heard through the grapevine that, there's a lot of people watching online. So,
right.
Which it's really good for the sport, but, at the same time, it seems like, maybe you don't get as many people at the track, but I think as a whole, you probably get more people watching.
That's right.
So we got a couple of questions left before we cut you loose. We thank you for the time, like always.
Absolutely.
So on deck for 2022, the first big show's out of the way. What's coming up for the next couple of races for you coming into this first quarter of racing here in 2022?
It'll probably be the USMTS race. I think it's like March 4th or 5th. First weekend of March is what we're kind of looking at right now. We got a lot of work to do between now and then, and between our own stuff and some, customer stuff. I haven't really seen much else kind of in between. I know it's still kind of early for, a lot of places, February, March, but that's kind of what we're looking at right now. But, if something comes up that we see that pays good, we might go to it, but we're looking at probably the USMTS opener.
So let's talk about right quick, Rodney. I need to ask you that because that's one of the things back in my days of racing. You would put stuff off, put it off. You're ready for March. Whatever. Do you see that with customers where it's like beginning of March, everybody's they're clamoring to get stuff to try to get ready. Do people still procrastinate just as bad as I used to, or me and my team used to?
Yeah, kind of. It seems like, we still got, a month or two, but
yeah,
like the last month or 2 weeks, everybody wants, stuff done at one time. And, it makes it even harder nowadays because you go to order something or, they're out of it or, if it's going to be a week or two, well, it kind of gets everybody in a bind. But, which, I think most local tracks probably start into March 1st of April. So, I mean, there still is some time, but, you can't ever be too far ahead in this racing stuff. It seems like anymore you can almost race year round if you want to.
Yeah.
So it's, it's really busy schedule.
Yeah. Yeah, and especially now with trying to get stuff on time. I mean, that's got to be a big challenge. Got to ask you lastly. So when we were doing our, drivers of the year and everything, hopefully, I hope that you have gotten your award. If you haven't, it's coming at some point. But so I saw some of the back and forth, and it was you were like decisively Touring Series driver of the year. I didn't get a vote, but I did get some input on that, and your thoughts on that? Because your peers around here, they were like Sanders all the way.
It's kind of surprising, really, to me.
Really?
I mean, yeah. I mean, we had a good year as far as wins, and but like our USMTS, we were down on wins and that, and didn't finish high in points as we did in the past. But like we won, I think, more races last year as a whole than we have in than the last couple, but that Texas Motor Speedway races really helped. I mean, we did really well at them, and then it's just kind of through the year, it's like felt like, I honestly kind of felt like, we were kind of on a dry spell for a while, but then, if you figure something out and get on a roll, you can click off a bunch of wins in a hurry. And
yeah,
we were just, I don't know, I guess I got really high expectations, but it was a really good year, but we wish we would have, had better results in the USMTS stuff, which was still a good year, but we always want to try better. But it was really cool to get that award. Thank you guys for that. And we did have a good year, but always want to be better.
Yeah, no doubt. Well, I can tell you, I did get to see some of the as all that was shaken out, and it was pretty unanimous. So congratulations, you will represent the show well. So we thank you for doing what you do, man, and we thank you for taking the time to be a part of the show on a crazy day, on a Wednesday of all times. But good stuff, man. Best of luck coming in 2022. We look forward to talking to you soon, and just keep at it, man. You're one of the best.
I appreciate it, and like I said, thanks for the award, and thanks for having me on, and looking forward to it.
Absolutely, you bet, man. Take care.
Yep, thank you.
All right, man. Here he is, Rodney Sanders. I had a bad year, he says.
Had a bad year, but I won more races than I have in a long time.
Oh my goodness, I tell you, and that's the thing, when you get guys like he and Faulkner and all these guys, where it's like, I kind of sucked. I'm like, what? Oh, man, I just love it. I love it. Good dude right there. Really, really good dude, and we appreciate him taking the time for that. And that's a good-looking award. We need to get those posted. I don't actually think that we've posted those on the site.
I don't think so. I got the picture from Phil.
Yeah, well,
who I think got the picture from Owen. So,
and we need to thank Owen Pittman for doing that. Because that is a really good looking award. And let me tell you, folks, when you need trophies and everything that you're looking for, you need to call Owen Pittman. And again, people ask me, why do you promote Owen Pittman so much? I'm like, well, lots of reasons. Number one, he's keeping racing alive in South Texas. He's now got 2 tracks. He does trophies for all these different people. He's a guy that would probably die on the sword for racing. That's why I promote Owen Pittman. I love the guy, but goddamn, he's kind of stupid to keep coming back for more. And I mean that in a really nice way, Owen. I'm sorry, buddy.
Well,
you're crazy.
He's crazy for jumping in with both feet at 2 tracks. 1 track was bad enough. Now he's got 2 that he's working at. But if anybody can make it happen, Owen's the guy that can make it happen. And he's doing that South Texas arena racing series stuff. So he's just a glutton for punishment.
And
right
he checks in. He says stupid. Oh, and I didn't mean to say stupid. I meant crazy. I meant crazy. It's one of those Owen Pittman. I went a little Western right there. that kind of slipped out right there. Sorry about that. But you know what I mean. I meant it all in good love. But good stuff there from Rodney Sanders. And man, it is so it is so crazy to watch this guy to go around and with these shows that we see. Whether it be, what they were doing right there with the big show they just came back from, but to go out there and win 4 of 6 races, it's that's stupid. That is stupid.
Well, they had a lot of competition there too.
Right.
Figure out a lot of the guys.
Yeah, for sure.
Because you had a lot of West Coast guys that were coming there too.
Absolutely.
Just outside of El Paso, those guys from California, where they still got to tow 4 to 6 hours. It's a hell of a lot closer to El Paso to California than it is from here to El Paso. That's for damn sure. Mm-hmm. At least from Central Texas anyway. So I think that the way that shook out was really good. It's interesting that he said about the fans not being at the Monday races at TMS.
Yeah.
Which we kind of thought about was, the XR deal, that's all about streaming. That's to try to get everybody streaming.
It is.
Which I'm really going to be interested to see when XR does this late model deal coming up at Cotton Bowl. How many people are going to be in the grandstands there at Cotton Bowl for that big 3-day show versus how many people are going to be online? Obviously, the late models bring the people. Not as many people as World of Outlaws, but I think that's a big enough show with the allure and the speed of Cotton Bowl that a super late model race right there might be a lot of fun. Yeah,
and when I was talking earlier about the whole promoter thing, I was actually having a conversation with Gina today. And I mentioned to her with Mobile, because you think about the expense, everything that's going in with what she's doing there with Gulf Coast. talking about the bleachers. I mean, you saw it, Bobby. I mean, it's like San Antonio. I mean, that whole front straightaway full of bleachers. I told her, I said, why don't you, because you're going to have so many people checking in on streaming, and the option's still there on how she's going to do that, who's going to be doing that. But I said, why don't you go in and do the TMS thing, close some of those bleachers off, sell the, put a tarp. I mean, put a tarp, sell that thing as a sponsorship option. I mean, do something like that. I mean, don't do it, to where it's going to hurt your front gate too, because there's going to be a lot of people that want to go there. But I mean, do that. Do that, because there's going to be lots of eyeballs in on the streaming part. And just a thought on my part. And I think that's where racetracks around the country, here in Texas, I know Marianne does a really good job with her banners on the back straightaway. I don't know how much she sells those things for, but especially with Race on Texas and with as popular as Speed Pass is, if I were them, those banners would get a little bit more expensive with all those eyeballs on that.
Yeah, especially. That's the way it works, right? The bigger eyeballs, the bigger you can charge for it.
The more of them, yeah.
And so I think that a lot of it comes down to the way, there's billboards there at Mobile, but they're kind of way back off there, right? When you don't really get a chance to see them on the stream as much.
No.
But I think that's also got a lot to do with camera positioning too.
Sure.
But Mobile's a unique track. I only got to go one time to be the race director. I didn't get a chance to sit around and enjoy it like a fan would. But I think that the Mobile is set up for some really good stuff. There's a ton of races coming up there in 2022, but I need to actually get back to Gina, since she sent me a text the other day and I still haven't responded to her. Remind me to do that later.
Yeah.
She's definitely just like Owen, jumping in with both feet, trying to get it handled over there. So.
Yeah, and it really is. It's going to be a full, bill right there, with everything she's doing. But kind of back to what Rodney Sanders was talking about right there. We see all these dirt tracks, and the Saturday night shows they're easier. It's more, for folks. Folks have to work. It's hard in Texas to do stuff during the week. And I can tell you one thing: if you're not able to pull people into TMS dirt track on a Monday night, in that market, that especially with Kennedale and everything that's over there, if you're not having success with that, that tells you how hard it is to do it on a weeknight. But that's one of the challenges here for the short tracks. And for Marianne, for Owen with both of his tracks, which is weird to say, Owen, and both of his tracks, 37, all of them. That's going to be the thing to get people in there. And I think they're going to be fine. But I'm curious to see how we fire off. Waco's the one. I know they're going to be fine. Because people just keep showing up there on Friday nights at 4:30 in the afternoon, and they don't race till 8. But it's going to be interesting to watch what happens this year.
I think it will be, in terms of trying to see how everything changes. Obviously, it's kind of like what Sanders said there, is that you've got the shortage stuff is still crazy to think about how much stuff is still on the sort. It's still shortage of parts, of pieces. Don't wreck your car, because it'll be sitting in a body shop for a good solid 2 months now.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, that's tough, and that's where folks need to think about. And again, as we talk about, with racing advancing and people, it used to be people built their own cars, but now when people are building your stuff, it's harder because they have a backlog of trying to get stuff in. So anyway, we'll continue to follow that, but let's go back. It's Rocket Wednesday. We talked to the Rocket, Rodney Sanders. Now we're going to talk to the Robstown Rocket, Cameron Starry. And this is a dude, we've talked to him, a young man that we've talked to on the show before, but this dude came into his own in 2021 and started doing really cool stuff. Cameron, how you doing, my friend?
Good, sir. How are you?
We're doing well. Please don't call us sir. We're old, but we're all friends. we're all friends here. But so Cameron, let's recap 2021 for you, man. You did some really cool stuff. Give us all the highlights of everything that you accomplished this year.
I think the first one that we accomplished would we got our first ever factory stock win early in the year at Texana, that really set the bar high for 2021. And I'd say another really big thing that happened in 2021 was Stealth Oil Well Services. Leslie Gill and his family over there in Odessa, they really boosted our entire racing career for 2021 and these upcoming years. He brought would get us getting the modified and having a big year in the factory stock, and it really started bringing everything together. Got the first one in the modified and the factory stock, so that was a really good year to get a win in both.
Yeah.
Yes, Cameron, I was there. I got to actually call both those wins for you, the one in the factory stock and the one for the modified. You were bouncing in between the two cars, and it seemed like you finally got the groove of it towards the end of the season. But for you, I mean, obviously the speed difference is there for sure, but how much of a driving change do you have to do to go from racing that heavy factory stock to racing that big modified, big powered horsepower modified?
Well, it's definitely a big learning experience going from the factory stock to the modified. Considering with the modified, you have to drive it about 10 times harder than you do the factory stock, and you have to be a little bit more technical with the modified. Keep it going and keep it up and try to be consistent every single lap, where with the factory stock you can kind of let off and roll the bottom or roll the top if you want to, but in the modified, if you get out of the gas and try to roll it, you're not going to be too good in the corners and stuff with how the suspension difference is. For the speed down the straightaways and everything, that's really the bigger thing that you notice whenever I first started racing the modified, that the straightaways feel about half the distance that they are compared to the factory stock because of how much lighter and how much more motor that the modified has.
Yeah. And Cam, how big is that for you? Because I know a lot of times you dive in, you started, you know, with the factory stock, you had to get in there. And like you said, the technical part, you know, the modified is technical. The factory stock, man, you got to drive your tail off. I mean, so many young dudes like yourself, I mean, they jump in and they jump into the modified, but how great was that for you to jump in, learn how to drive one of these stock cars, and then advance yourself up into the modified?
I think it was really good, considering that we kind of just got into this thing all, like, it felt like we kind of moved up real fast in a hurry. Yeah. But it was good. Whenever I got in the modified after racing the factory stock for years, for about 2 years, is that you kind of know on restarts what you could do to kind of just gain a little bit more on the restarts and stuff that transfers over to the modified, and the different stuff that, like, more factory stock that you would think does transfer over to the modified to kind of help you get a little bit more consistent and everything straight out the gate.
Interesting.
Yeah, it is.
So how much of the technical stuff do you get behind the wheel? Are you one of those kids, the prima donnas, that just show up on race day, polish your helmet a little bit and get in there? Are you one of those that gets underneath that hood, starts grabbing wrenches, starts turning everything, including the steering wheel on that thing? How does your day go when you get to the racetrack?
Usually we try to get everything done at the shop leading up to the race day, that whenever if anything does happen on the way to the track or at the track, pretty much everything else is already done, from tires to maintenance to greasing everything, making sure everything's ready to go. I will say that I'm starting to learn more and more about maintenance and getting my hands dirty and getting underneath it.
Nice.
89 Motorsports, Stephen Whitaker, and all of them over there, they've really been helping me with how to maintenance my stuff and how to make sure everything's ready to go for race day. Yeah,
that's a big thing right there. So, Cam, your thoughts? I mean, racing there at Texana, now you've got the Owen doing his thing where he's kind of taking those both on. Your thoughts? I mean, your neck of the woods out there, how big is that to have both of those tracks under the same umbrella with really good promoter that's really going to build racing for you guys along the Gulf Coast?
I think that's gonna be really good, considering that I'm a rookie in the modified. So the more IMCA races I can get, the more that that's gonna help me in the ranking side. So I think it'll be really good to have two tracks working together where races aren't really stacked up on top of each other, where you can maneuver around kind of race multiple weeks in a row, where you're getting your money worth racing every single week and being competitive, knowing that you're going to have a good smooth ran place and it's going to be competitive every single night.
Yep.
Now, see, Cam, I don't know if you know it or not. I got to talk to your PR guy about racing, and I think Rodney got to too. And that guy is Tommy.
It's hard not to talk to him because he keeps blowing you up.
He's blowing your phone up until you talk to him. But he almost shed a tear that night, or might have actually shed a few tears that night that you won your first big mod race. So talk about your relationship with Tommy. He's one of those unsung heroes. He's a pretty good dude over there, isn't he?
Yeah.
Yeah, he's a very good dude. Once you get to know him and once you get to talk to him, and he's one of the reasons why I am racing and how advanced that my racing program has advanced in 3 years of me racing. From him hyping me up, getting my name out there, to donating me parts, helping sponsorship, just helping everything, being a good guy, knowing that he's there. If you need something during the week or at the track, he's always there, and not a bad thing that I have to say about him.
Yeah. Very good dude. Very good dude. So Cam, you not only here, I mean, you've gotten to explore, you've gotten to get out and race outside of, our little neck of the woods right here. Your thoughts on exploring other places, your experiences, and how's all that gone for you?
It's gone really good too.
Yeah,
we just got back from Arizona, 2-week long racing IMCA Winter Nationals up there in Arizona, and it was very good to see what the bigger teams, how they do their maintenance and how they do their tires and everything leading up to the race night, and what they do in between races, whenever they get to the track, how early they're getting there, whether they stay and hang out after the races or if they work on their stuff after the races, or they stay and work on it in the morning. And you really learn a lot going up there to the bigger tier races and events like that with the such advanced people that race those and travel around with those tours and stuff like that.
Mm-hmm. No doubt.
So Cam, a little birdie told me to ask you a question about your iRacing career, and apparently you've been getting some cash and some coin over there racing from iRacing. Woo! What can you tell us about that racing venture you got right there?
I got.
He stumbles.
I was messing around one time, and I didn't realize that I joined one of those broadcasted things where they do the interviews, and it's all over social media and stuff like that where they're recording it. And I just so happened to win the race, and the guy asked me if I was on a team or if I had anybody to thank or anything like that, and I didn't have nothing to say. And then so I texted him. I was like, about this team thing, is that really a thing on iRacing and stuff like that? And he told me everything I needed to know, and I ended up joining a team, my first ever team, and they were called No Mercy Motorsports, and we raced those big block cars on the iRacing, and I got smoother and smoother and made a good relationship with the guy that owned that thing, and me and him ended up venturing off to a bigger team, and now we're on a bigger team that gives us really good setups and really good everything to get us running up front and trying to make a run for that pro series.
Oh man, that's
and
awesome.
Actually, speaking of the iRacing, I have a pro series race tonight at 8:00 that I'm seventh in points right now.
He's like, I gotta go. He's like,
enough,
hurry up,
you clowns! I gotta go.
Hurry up. So I gotta ask you. So when you won that factory stock race, how cool was it to finally notch that one off the belt? I mean, because it's always been, so many racers say the first one is the hardest one so many times. When you checked that one off and you got that one knocked out of the way, I mean, did you go home and you're like, good, it's done?
In the heat of the moment, I I wasn't really showing much emotion. But once I got home and it started setting in, I think I watched the replay video about 100 times of me passing for the lead. But yeah, it was actually really good. It really set my bar high for 2021 and showed that I can get up there and compete, and that every single time I strap on the helmet that I'm going to be someone that they're going to look out for and know that I'll be there in a couple laps, and know that I'm not going to be a pushover out there, and
right.
that I'm there to win every single night.
That's right. All right, 2022. When's the season start? I mean, refresh us. What all's everything for you moving forward? I mean, I know it's time to fire off. Let us know what all's entailed with you with both cars, and then we'll let you go win some money.
It's crazy to say, but our 2022 it's already started. We have 11 races already in 2022, and I think we're gonna try to hit every single Monday XR race that they have at Texas Motor Speedway. We're going to go to the Texas Motor Speedway 2-day show here in a week or two, whenever that one is. And we really we have a lot of 2-day schedules. Ones where we travel up to Waco on Friday and then come back down here to Corpus for Saturday shows, and we have a bunch of traveling out of town races and a lot of bigger races that we're going to try to hit and see if we can be competitive at. But with all three tracks down here, 37, Race Ranch, and Texana, you can really fill up your race schedule with just those three tracks. So we're going to have a really jam-packed schedule, and I think that's going to be a good 2022.
Yeah, I think so too, my man. All right, dude. Go win some money, and thanks for taking the time. Thanks for jumping on. We're proud of you, dude, and just keep doing it. Keep being solid, and win some races, my friend. Win some races. You're doing a hell of a job.
Thank you.
You bet. Take care.
Yes, sir. You too.
All right. Here he is. I
love
that.
Started with sir and ended with sir.
I love that subtle. I love that subtle hint. I've got a race at 8:00.
That was good.
Okay.
It's a way to get out of the interview. Okay, go kick some ass.
Let me tell you something. So remember the first time we talked to him? You remember that? Man, he is so
scared.
It ain't been that long.
Scared.
It ain't been that long. It ain't been that long. That dude is smooth as silk.
Has your phone been blown up like mine? Everybody talking about that?
Yeah. Yeah,
my phone's blowing up nonstop. Like, wow, what happened? Where'd this kid come from?
We ain't doing shit.
Wow, he's matured.
We ain't doing shit. Yeah. He, man, that's the real deal right there. And for him to jump in and do that modified thing, and I was so glad for him when he won the factory stock race, because the factory stocks are so competitive, and you see all the guys that are coming, I don't want to say step down into that class. You get in there and you win one of those, and that's pretty impressive. But to jump into the modified and that dude's a real deal right there. And of course you can go back to, I mean, the whole story of him even being a racer, man. It is fantastic.
It's a pretty cool story. We talked about it the first time he was racing, or first time he was on us when he was racing with the first go around. But when's this dude have time for women and go to school and all that? You're talking about running Waco on a Friday night and then driving back down to Corpus on a Saturday. Yeah, that's a hell of a schedule, man.
Yeah, that's I would have loved to have had growing up as a kid. I mean, I had to squeeze in, girls and various things, beer drinking, maybe some pot smoking or whatever it may have been. You had to find time for that. But I mean, this dude, he is racing. I would have loved to have that as he's young. He's young, way young.
Yeah, a pretty young kid there, young man, as we like to say.
That's right. That's right.
But the good news is his PR guy will stop blowing up our phones now.
Well, and we do need to give some love to Tommy Temple. I mean, we can joke around about him, as much as we want. He, he's doing a really good service down there. I mean, obviously with Triton, that's his son, and they're with Cameron, but he really does. I mean, they want to promote. And the thing is, you've got their team, but the whole thing is he does reach out and he wants to help all the racers down there. And Tommy's done this for a long time. I mean, Tommy and I raced at CC Speedway back in that big old 1995 Brian Calloway thing, but he really is. I mean, he wants to help all the young drivers, and it's really cool to see all the success that they're all having these days.
Well, something about the water down in Corpus. You can add Cam Starry next to that list too, as one of them wheelmen that came out of the Corpus Christi area.
I know, man. It really is going to be. I mean, there's so many of them, and I think now with the race ranch, I mean, I think it's really going to grow. And I do like with the 37, the Texana, and the race ranch. I think, this is how good he is. He said the race ranch. He didn't say STS.
Yeah, he was good.
That was impressive. That was impressive.
Even we're still saying STS, and we know Owen.
Yeah, that's right. That's right. Thank you, Patrick Kelly. We do need to talk about that. Jim Blevins, man, that's one of those guys, when you go back to those San Antonio days, I mean, I don't know, Bobby, you know Mike Balzer very well. I mean, that was a bunch right there with those guys that got out there and raced, and Blevins. I mean, that's one of those. I got that. I got a private message there from someone, and I was like, what? I was like, are you kidding me? That sucks. Man, prayers to all that family. I mean, that's a good dude. I mean, that's one of those guys that just loved the sport and just continued to give and give and give, and chased it from the pavement to dirt. And man, that really stinks.
Yeah, it's always a big loss when you realize, you never realize how much somebody touches a community until they're gone, unfortunately. Yeah. And to seeing all the posts on Facebook about, I knew him when I was a kid, racing here and racing there. He always had good looking race cars. Mm-hmm. I always thought, every once in a while, I thought there was Slick Yeomans racing out there when he used to run that 24 Ford Thunderbird. Yeah. I'm sure he got some inspiration from Slick on some of those cars, but a big loss, a big hole to fill now. Both in that family itself and the racing community in general. So thoughts and prayers out to everybody on that side of the world over there with his family. Absolutely.
And I saw that some of the arrangements had changed there. You can go to I think it was San Antonio Race Reunion on Facebook, where you can see all of that. If you happen to be in that area, and just think some thoughts there for those folks, as they continue to deal with all that right there. But really good program tonight. We had the two Rockets, man. This was fun for a Wednesday. It grew. It did okay. It did all right. It did okay. Yeah. Good stuff. So we should be back to Monday, I think next week. Yeah, we should be, right?
Should be, yeah. My birthday's on Wednesday, so we probably won't have a show next week. So on Wednesday.
Didn't talk no football. So great football weekend at NFL, man. For all the folks that hate the NFL, if you
they got what they wanted.
If you like football, I was sure hoping that I didn't. And I gotta say, I kept waiting for folks to say the NFL was rigged. You can't rig that. You can't rig what we saw this weekend.
No, you can't rig snow and block punts for sure.
No, you can't. I mean, there's no way. And the Championship Sunday, that's going to be a lot of fun. And so we're easing up to this. I mean, Rolex 24. That's this weekend, isn't it?
Right, kicks off on NBC and ends on NBC. Lots of racing coverage on USA this year. We'll get a post up to talk about the different stuff. They are doing flag to flag coverage on Peacock for that, so that's probably a pretty long broadcast. But yeah, quite a bit of coverage there on both NBC Network, NBC, and USA. USA is a new home of racing for a lot of series there on USA, because I think the Supercross stuff moves back to CNBC because of the coverage for the 24.
That's right, and I think that's a good outlet. I mean, honestly, I know a lot of folks. I saw some people that were talking about having to pay for Peacock, to do whatever. I'm like, Peacock is really cheap. USA is actually more expensive, but USA is going to be a good landing place for all that. It's ever changing, man. It is so different. It's such a different environment, and I see a lot of folks complaining about, I can't see whatever. Well, way back when, you couldn't see any bush race. There were no bush races. You had none of that. ESPN, Speed. They were the ones that really brought all this. Mav TV is really doing a good job and all this. And for everybody, buy that Cordeal thing. If you want something to watch on Saturday, There you go. It's right there. It's not expensive. It's not expensive. You can watch it on your smart TV if you want to.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, definitely. With the way everything that's going nowadays, with everybody having an app, everybody's got it. Especially everything's on a Roku or an Apple device. So
Sure.
If you really want to get involved and get some racing and streaming, you got to get a Roku.
Absolutely.
Or even an Apple Fire or an Amazon Fire Stick. But definitely get to, as that's the wave of the future, man. They're even talking about this next TV package with NASCAR that Amazon's going to start getting involved in it to try to find a way to start streaming races on their stuff.
Whew. That'll be fun. That'll be a great discussion.
Yeah, that'll make for some good content on the Saturday show.
Hey, yeah, don't forget about that. Revved Up ATX, Saturday on the Horn, Revved Up ATX, hornfm.com, if you're on Austin Radio, whatever, or the Horn app. That'll be a good thing. Rodney Sanders, Cameron Starry, fun Wednesday show. Bobby, stay warm, my friend. It's going to be cool. Going to be cool for a few days.
Yeah, we'll survive. A little cold weather never hurt anybody.
You ain't never lie. You ain't never lie. Thank you all for checking in. We are back next Monday. # Real Race Talk from Texas. It is the Revved Up Sports Show.